This is gonna be the best PG in NBA 2K26. This is gonna be the best lockdown in NBA 2K26. This is the best demigod build in NBA 2K26. Bruh, look, I cannot be the only person that says that. If I'm not playing the game for myself, if I have not tested the game for myself, I am not making any build that anybody recommends to me, bro. And look, if you're like me and you do not want to mess up in the builder and you want to make your own build, here are some tips that some of these big content creators be using and tips that I use to help me not only reduce the amount of money I spend on 2K, but help me understand the game a lot more. So if you're new, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Let's get into it. The first tip I'm going to give you: don't get too excited when you get into that builder. All right, now look, before y'all start clicking off the video, I know that took you off guard. Well, I'm telling you, when you get too excited, it throws you off so much. All right, because y'all gotta understand, we're putting hundreds of dollars into this game. Like, this is no chicken change. And because if you're too excited, it makes you miss a lot of stuff in the builder, like informations that you probably should be reading while you're making your build. I know you'll see the 2K creators have made all the videos talking about all that stuff, but I'm pretty sure some of you watching this video right now has not even seen any of these videos. Take for example, in 2K23, when we were making our builds and stuff like that, we found out that speed ball did not matter like that. People were upgrading their speed ball thinking that it's gonna make you a lot faster and stuff like that. We later found out that speed ball was just for running. It did nothing with your speed boost. Your acceleration was what was important when it came to speed boost. Same thing happened in 2K24, where we thought that acceleration mattered in the game. Everybody was upgrading the acceleration because we came from 2K23 thinking it was going to be the same thing with acceleration, only for us to find out that speed ball was what mattered the most. Okay, because acceleration only gave you one burst. It really didn't even give you that much of a burst, if I'm being correct. And the crazy part about this is that all those informations were there in the builder. If you went to the builder in 2K24 and you went to acceleration or you went to speed ball, it told you right there what they did. So make sure you don't get too excited. All right, I have fell victim to this for multiple years, and right now I'm telling you, when I'm going into 2K26 and making my next build, I'm going in there with a straight face. All right, so the second tip I'm going to be giving y'all is going to be your build. Now, I just want to get this out of the way before I give you the second tip. Your first build is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the build you're going to run with for the entire year. Now, don't get it twisted. There are some people who have made some really good first builds and they actually use it for the rest of the year. But most of the time, your first build is not usually the best build, all right? Because you've not gone into the game and felt the game for yourself. You have not played the game. You've not tested animations that you're comfortable with, okay? So I like to use my first build as a test build, all right? This is basically what I do, and you guys are gonna see once I show you kind of like a template of what I'm going to be going for NBA 2K26. So because 2K cheeses shooting and dribbling every single year with their builder, it's always the option I go with when I'm making my first build. Now, as you can see with the build I'm showing you guys on the screen right now, you can see that I have my mid-range to a 90 and I have my ball handle to a 90. Now, this is just a template. This is not what I'm gonna go with when I hop into the 2K builder, because of course the 2K builder is going to be different, right? But this is basically what I'm going to be going with in mind, all right? Because I want to test out all the shooting animations I can test out for tall guards. I want to test out all the ball handle stuff I can test out for tall guards, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like playmaking is probably like the primary thing people should also focus on, especially if you're making a tall guard, because this year tall guards are going to be getting good animations for the game. So ball handle is very important, shooting is very, very important to me. And as you can see, I also have a little bit of defense, because, you know, I don't just want to go into the game with a trash build. I want to make a build that I can also play with and, you know, just immerse myself in the gameplay and stuff like that. I'm probably gonna have my ball handle rating a lot higher depending on what the threshold is for a lot of the dribble shakes for tall guards. But this might be you might want to test out drive and dunk, you know, and ball handle. You might want to test out defense, especially if you're like a big man, you know, say if you want to make like a, you know, those glass cleaning big man, you might want to test out defense. You know, because it's not just the animations you're testing out, you're also testing out like what's the sweet spot for the stats too, because every 2K we always want to make the best all-around builds, and usually the best all-around builds, we usually try to focus on stats that have good sweet spots. Okay, so increasing it all the way to a 90 is going to help you test out those stats, so that way as you're progressing the build and upgrading, you're going to be seeing which ones are the sweet spots. Maybe there might not be no need to go with a 92 ball handle, because an 88 ball handle just feels the same way as a 92 ball handle. So your first build is going to be a test build. Okay, max out the stats that you're going to focus on heavily, or the ones that you just feel like you want to have more information on when you hop on the game, and test the animations. Okay, so that is the second tip. Test out animations and test out stats. Now, the last and final tip I'm going to be giving you guys is in the actual gameplay side of things. All right, I know you guys are going to be making your first build. So when you make your first build, I want you guys to spend at least a whole week on that first build. All right, because as much as you want to be upgrading stats and testing out animations, you also want to understand the gameplay as well, because gameplay is a very, very big factor when it comes to making your build. All right, remember the stuff I said with the second tip, where you're testing out animations, you're testing out stuff, getting the feel of the game. This is where it actually plays out the most, because you want to take this build to the park. You want to see how people defend against some of the stats. You want to see which one is OP, which one people can't guard. You know what I'm saying? You see the way we found out later on that 6'11s can shoot over small guards. Those are the type of things you can't get from just testing out animations alone. You have to go in there, go into the gameplay and play it. You know what I'm saying? The same way too, we found out many different stuff about the gameplay, the speed of the gameplay. You know what I'm saying? How the higher your ball handle goes, the better your speed with dribbling is going to be. The way you play offline is not the same way you play online. All right, that's another thing too. All right, yeah, the 2K said that the gameplay is going to be a lot faster, but let's be for real. There's still going to be a difference in gameplay speed when you play offline than when you play online. I don't know. Maybe it might be different. And I'm saying all the content creators have been saying that it's a lot more smoother and a lot more faster. I don't know, but with my experience in 2K, I know for a fact that it's going to be different. All right, until I test it out myself and see it for myself. Okay, so this is the final tip. Make sure you spend a lot of time with your first build. Test out all the animations. Go in there, just play the game, and try to get your build to at least a 90 plus before you make your next build. All right, at least make sure you have tested out all the animations for all the stats you are going for in this game. Okay, so that is going to be my final and last tip for that. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I know it was a short video, but I just had to get this out there, because you know what I'm saying, nobody wants to spend so much money. Nobody wants to do all that again, bro. We all know 2K is not gonna lower those BT prices. You know what I'm saying? They want the money, they need the money to fund the game and stuff like this. Okay, so if you're new, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Once 2K26 drops, I will be posting a lot more content and helpful tips for y'all. So that's the end of the video. Catch you guys later. Peace out.